Welcome to Monday Night Chat episode 43. Today, we're going to talk about, as usual, Policy Monday and 3 questions.
Monday Night Chat with Wong Chen.
Brought to you by the Member of Parliament for Kelana Jaya in collaboration with Invo.
Okay, Policy Monday this week is a continuation of last week, which is really the Alternative Budget 2018. Okay. We have here about 60 pages. We've taken a long time to write this. We finally got a bit of input from Dr. Wong Chen from DAP. So we've managed to compile everything and send it out to everybody to read. So the leaders will go through it and get back to us. So there's going to be a feedback and amendment session for about the next 2 weeks before we go to Parliament. Yeah. So last week we talked about revenue. So this week we're going to focus on expenditure. What is expenditure? Expenditure basically means the spending of each and every ministry. Yeah. So in Malaysia, we got about 25 ministries. So the budget is allocated per ministry, and you know the budget in totality should be about 260 billion to 270 billion every year on average. Yeah. What are the core issues when we look at the matter of expenditure? There are 3 or 4 recurring themes. The first theme is really the Prime Minister's budget. Now, in Malaysian democracy, which is based on Westminster, the Prime Minister is supposed to be first among equals, which means he's not the president, he doesn't have an immense budget, he chairs the cabinet meeting, so therefore his budget should reflect his responsibility. And that reflection is not true in the Malaysian context. In the Malaysian context, for the last 20-30 years, the Prime Minister has been gaining in strength and in budget size. And it reached the highest point of 20 billion in the year 2015. And under our current Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Najib Razak. Why is this a problem? Because the Prime Minister theoretically has no job. He doesn't have doctors, he doesn't have an army under his division. His job is to monitor his cabinet. So how can he have a budget of 20 billion, much bigger than the health budget or the transport budget to put together, or the armed forces budget? Yeah, the health budget is about 17 billion, armed forces about 11 billion, you know. So why is the Prime Minister having a 20 billion budget? Now, so what we do in our alternative budget is to ensure that the Prime Minister's budget is reduced dramatically down to about 8 billion, which is what we think a normal number. And over time, we will reduce it down to 5 billion. Okay. Now, the second point I want to raise is about supplies and services. In budgetary terms, supplies and services, when you buy things, procurement, what we want to do is we want to make sure that supplies and services actually reflect what is really required to support the civil servants. So the formula we devised for this is, for every $1 that we pay civil servants, we should give them supplies and services worth 20 cents. Now, when the budget come out, please read up a bit more on this. I won't elaborate further. Now, a third issue that we always talk about is debt repayment. You know that the national debt is high, and in 2018, we're projected to hit a 710 billion in national debt. And carrying a 4.6% interest rate, coupon rate for the bonds, we're looking at paying that interest alone of 30.5 billion a year. So that is a major problem, so we have to address that in the expenditure element. Lastly, we look at the issue of development versus operating expenditure. Now, OPEX, operating expenditure, is very simple to understand. It is basically the spending of the government to operate itself, to administer itself. So it pays for civil service pay, it pays for the cars, the travels, all those things. Yeah. Now, developmental expenditure, DevEx, is really to develop for the future. So, building a road, a bridge, helps the future growth of the economy, or even giving training lessons to people to improve their skills is also part of development expenditure, human capital development. Now, one thing to remember is this. It is astounding for a country that is still, haven't reached first world standard. Yeah, we may have first world infrastructure, but we don't have a first world democracy by far, or any respect for human rights. Yeah, in a country where we're still developing, we are only spending 20% on development expenditure. 80% of all our taxpayer money goes into the administration of the government. And this is why people say that the government expenditure is really about feeding the government itself and not really helping the rakyat. So that's it for this week on the issue of alternative budget. We come back next week to go further into the alternative budget. I'll give you 1 or 2 previews of the policies that we will pursue. Thank you very much. Q&A this week. Q&A, 3 questions as usual. The first question is on what are my views on the closing of the Formula One in Sepang. Now, when I was a corporate lawyer, I actually attended the opening of the Sepang thing in 1999, if I remember. I think I got some free ticket from one of my corporate clients, and I went there. A bit exciting. So it's been a long way, but I'm not a car fan. I'm not a Formula One fan. I don't even follow this kind of thing. But the end of Sepang F1, I suppose, has been long time in coming. The whole idea of F1 is to promote tourism, promote an image about Malaysia. I think that dividend has been shrinking every year. F1 itself is going through crisis, so I think this was inevitable. I'm not particularly personally sad to see F1 go, but we have to think about what we're going to do with this Sepang venue after that. Yeah. Now, second question about the school event in Putrajaya Precinct 14, where Tengku Adnan, the FT minister, we all saw the video. Kids waving UMNO flag, singing UMNO songs. Well, this is the thing. In the current situation, the government of Malaysia, UMNO BN, does not allow opposition to attend any school function. This is the truth. I think, if we were invited by PIBG to go to the school, it cannot be a function. We can donate money to the school, we can support the school PIBG, but we cannot attend any school function. So this is the height of hypocrisy, where a minister attends a school function when the opposition can't attend, then goes 10,000 steps ahead, which is like to fly UMNO flags. You cannot politicize schools, and sing UMNO songs. This is madness. I hope that the Education Ministry will relook into this matter and take action against the FT minister. He has to be at least told, if not reprimanded. Okay. Last issue, of course, the really big story about the Las Vegas shooting. 58 people died and 500 plus people were shot. Now, I never really understood why America has such ridiculous gun policy. I know that the Americans love their guns. I know it's also in their constitution, the right to bear arms, but I think the context of that is to really a right to defend himself. But if you give a literal meaning to the right to bear arms, fine, you can buy guns if you want to, but do you have to buy semi-automatic guns? Do you have to own 48 guns or whatever that the gun guy, used on the people? I mean, that is ridiculous. So I really hope that the Americans will really get this into their head, that you cannot go to the extreme of free market and complete liberty at the expense of people getting shot everywhere. Yeah, and this is the irony and also the hypocrisy of the whole thing. America talks a lot about the rest of the world, rogue states. They go and intervene to give democracy in Afghanistan, in Iraq, intervene in all those areas, Syria, and at home, they don't even regulate the use of violence and guns in their own country. So America, I'm sorry, but for the politicians, the Americans and Donald Trump, do something, for God's sake. That's it.
Hi everybody, it's Abigail again, but we have to interrupt this program for a quick public announcement. Are you ready to stand up for your country? To stand up for what is important? If you are, then we want you. For the next general election, we are looking for polling agents and counting agents. So if you'd like to be part of the election experience feel free to click the link below and sign up. If you want more information of what polling agents and counting agents are supposed to do, and if you've never been for a polling agent, counting agent training and do want to go for one, feel free to contact us. Details are below, or email us. Details are also below. Thank you very much for your time. Take care, everybody, and I hope that we'll be able to participate together and win the next general elections. Take care.